Hi, Edgar. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, really good. Nice to see you here today.
You too.
Um, First of all, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yes.
And I just want to give a quick introduction to who you are. But before we do that, for anyone watching, you can add comments on YouTube and Facebook. Any questions you might have or any other comments, feel free to leave them there. And if you go ahead and give the video a like, that would be great, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be great. It's the United States Youth Forum. So with that being said, I think we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce our guest today, Edgar McGregor, who is a 21-year-old climate activist from California, who is currently attending San Jose State University. McGregor's passion for science has led to his writings and observations being published on SidleyAtlas.org, Grist.org, GuyOnClimate.com, Yale Climate Connections, and the Los Angeles Times. He's also been interviewed on NPR, Sierra Club, Outside Magazine, People.com, and more. He's well known on Twitter for his streak of trash collection days in his local area, specifically Eaton Canyon Natural Area. And you're currently on day 810. So very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I just want to go ahead and kind of ease into our chat, and I want to ask kind of what are your motivations behind what you do, and what were your first steps that led you into your activism? What kind of those baby steps that led to what you're doing today?
Right. Well, I've always been interested in meteorology, and so as a young kid, I was always get excited when there'd be rainstorms. I'd always, take bathroom breaks during first or second grade and go out and stand in the rainstorm and whatnot. And so I've always been interested in the weather. About 14, 15, 16 years old, I started studying climate change because living in Southern California, we go months on end without seeing any weather, and it gets kind of boring. And so I had found my way into looking at weather data in my community from like 100 years ago or so. And I started to chart it all and look at how climate change is warming my area. And I found that we'd warmed by, it's been like 7 degrees Fahrenheit. And so since then, I've been much more involved in the climate movement. I've been so worried about how climate change is affecting our area. And it's honestly been it's been an amazing mission. I got into my trash pickups because I was doing a weekly climate strike alongside Greta Thunberg and thousands of other young people around the world in about 2019 or so. But I felt like there was more I could do. I would go on the strikes every Friday, and then afterwards, I was like, okay, well, that's it for the week. And, I got more energy left in me. There's other things I can do. And so in spring of 2019, I started going out to the local parks every Saturday, and I'd clean up trash there every Saturday, and I would, try and maintain the parks. And it took me about 2 months, but I was finally realizing that, if I wanted to clean up these parks, I was going to have to be there every day. And so one random Wednesday at the end of May 2019, I was like, let's just go clean up today. Let's go tomorrow, see where it takes me. And that was 810 days ago. And I realized that, my local park, this is one of the most popular parks in Southern California. We have a waterfall that is accessible to almost all low-income communities in Southern California, which no other waterfall that is true for. And so because of that, we have a lot of visitors. We have, I think it's something like 600,000 annual people per year, especially during Memorial Day and Labor Day and Christmas. The park gets trashed, and we have no official trash service. And so I've discovered that it needs a bucket a day it needs a full bucket of trash pulled out of there every single day to keep it clean, or else the place is going to get littered.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's interesting because, of course, I also go through parks and I walk through parks, and everyone always has that thought, oh my gosh, look at all this trash. I think everyone has at one point or another had that thought as they're walking through natural areas. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because you went out and you did something about that thought for 810 days.
Yeah.
You've also done these trash collection days in like some pretty bad weather as well. Even I think at one point read that you'd injured yourself doing it. What kind of kept you going through all the bad weather?
Well, I love the bad weather. I'm a meteorologist at heart, and so I get a real kick out of it. I will say there's some weather I really enjoy. I love it when I'm there when it's raining. I love when it's super windy. I love when there's snow on the ground in the upper portions of my park, which, believe it or not, we do get in parts of Los Angeles. But there's other weather conditions that I hate, and that is when we have lightning storms around. I obviously can't go out there and clean up. I was actually in February 2020, I was caught out in a lightning storm about an hour away from my car, and It was not good.
Mm.
But smoke is also pretty bad. We've had some really terrible wildfire years the last 2 years here in California, and there were some days where the smoke was so thick it was just too hazardous for my health to go out and clean up, and I had to miss those days. And so, yeah, most of the time the weather is very calm. I'm used to hiking at about 90, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about our average high temperature for the summertime. But um, when it's hailing or when it's windy, I love it. It's so much fun, and it's crazy to see my park change during those conditions, because this is a very dry area. We don't get a lot of rainfall, and to see a huge rain come down and the river starts to flow and all the dust comes off the plants, and it's like the whole park just transforms. And so that's the other cool thing about being in the park every single day, is you get to watch it change through the seasons. And I look at photos I have from January, and I'm like, my park looks nothing like that today. And it's not just like, oh, it's snow and whatnot, but it's just everything is so green and lively in January, and right now everything's like dead and brown. And
One moment. I think maybe you turned your video off. Okay. There you are. 1 second. Well, you're back.
okay, there we are.
Funny. I don't know what happened either.
Yeah.
I didn't press anything. But yeah, so I mean, that is the wonderful thing about seasons. I grew up in Minnesota, and that was one of those one of the best parts about growing up in Minnesota is you see the change in weather and the different seasons. You get excited about the different seasons and what every season brings. It's really cool. I wonder. I mean, I imagine you make it. You make it sound really nice. But there must have been also some hard days with some days maybe where you didn't want to go out, or
Oh, yeah.
no, every day you felt like, yeah, I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to do it.
No, there's plenty of days where I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to go do that today. I just got done with all my classes. I want to lie in bed, scroll TikTok. I don't want to go do this. But I will be honest, almost every single time, pretty much every single time after I go out, even if I didn't want to go out beforehand, once I do, it ends up being nice. The reasons why I do this every day, I mean, I often will post videos on my Twitter account. Sometimes they're just like 5 seconds long and I say the date. Other times they're 2.5 minutes long and I actually talk about my cleanups. And one video I made the other day is why I do this every single day for like 15 or 30 minutes, as opposed to like every Friday or Saturday for like 3 or 4 hours when I have tons of time. And the reason being is there's so many more benefits beyond just going out and cleaning up trash. I'm getting exercise every single day. I'm getting to be out in nature and help my mental health every single day. I'm getting fresh air. I'm learning about how the park sees littering rates. What times of the week is there tons of trash appearing? Which times of the week are there's a lot less? It also allows me to be a lot more thorough with my cleanups. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to go to the waterfall every Saturday and clean up the whole trail and that's that. I'm pretty sure every single cleanup, save for a few of the like 810 I've done, have been completely unique routes. Like I'm checking brand new areas, places where someone wouldn't expect to see trash at all, and I find just a couple of bottles and whatnot. And so doing it every single day keeps me from just targeting the popular areas and then forgetting about everywhere else. It allows me to be more thorough with my cleanups and check spaces where you might otherwise not expect trash. And that's where I'm finding stuff that's been sitting out in the parks for 30, 40, 50 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you ever go out with other young climate activists, or do you often find yourself in conversation with other climate activists?
About 2 or 3 times, someone will join. Through 2 or 3 times a year, someone will join me. Sometimes friends from the climate movement will come with me. Bradley Whitford, who was currently is an actor on the show *Handmaid's Tale* and was an actor on the show *The West Wing*. He and his wife joined me on a cleanup. But usually they're alone, and I kind of like it that way because I can just go where I want to. I don't have to, set my speed as someone else. I can just enjoy the park by myself, and it's pretty nice. Actually, next weekend, I'm going to be back in LA, and a whole environmental group is going to join me, and we're going to do a big cleanup in the park. And that's pretty awesome because I've been living in San Jose for the last 2 months, and I know for a fact that my park is currently getting trashed and it's not really getting cleaned up. And so, yeah, it's gonna be a fun event. I think that's the most amount of people that are joining me on a single cleanup.
Okay, that's a different logistical challenge,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Do you feel since you've joined, not necessarily joined, but you've become more active in the climate change movement or for environmental justice? Do you feel like you really have plugged into a wider community of young people? Then there's a lot of young people all over the world who are very active on this issue.
Yeah. Yeah. One big thing about posting the videos onto Twitter is I'm trying to connect the world of uh, protecting our parks from litter and whatnot to the world of climate action, right? Because I talk about my cleanups and my trash all the time on Twitter, and people will follow me for that reason. But then I'm exposing them to the climate crisis and the problem that we face through my other tweets. And so I feel like that's kind of the purpose that my cleanups can serve sometimes, is connecting those two worlds that are pretty closely related, but there is a difference between a naturalist and a climate activist. And so that's a pretty big one. The other thing, my cleanups aren't always the same size. Sometimes I'll just go out for 5 or 10 minutes and do half a bucket or a full bucket of trash. Other times I have done 3-4 hour cleanup. Literally, I have done 3 or 4 hour cleanups. I think one of them was about 6 hours, and I fill entire dumpsters because there's just huge amounts of trash sitting out in the Andes National Forest. And so it's definitely fun to have those larger cleanups on occasion, but oftentimes I find that I have to limit myself. Like, I will be walking out of the park on a day where I have tons of time, my buckets are full, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I could totally go and do another 2 buckets right now. There's nothing stopping me from that. But I don't do that because I'm trying to save myself for the next day, because tomorrow I may not want to go out at all. And it's kind of like leave wanting more, And so I think that's the important thing about having a 5-gallon bucket is you can't really make a bucket bigger like you can with a plastic bag. It's like there's a set amount of trash I can collect throughout the cleanup, and I'm going to take 2 buckets if I want to. But it's kind of interesting the way sometimes I limit myself because I want to do more, and other times I'm like, I don't really want to be here. I kind of want to be in bed scrolling TikTok. And so it's kind of fun how that changes from day to day.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And you're currently attending school at San Jose. Do you find that your doing the trash collection has been difficult with your schedule with school, or has it on the opposite side more enriched your university life, or how's that been an interplay?
I would say it has probably made it a little bit more difficult, and that's mostly because of the sunset. I usually go on my cleanups in the evening hours, and the sunset is getting earlier and earlier now that it's October. And I do know that in December, there are times where I'm like, sitting on my computer at 4:30, I'm like, I need to go on my cleanup, and it's almost sunset right now. It's like, I almost forget sometimes. And so, there have been more than a few cleanups at night, unfortunately. And so that does happen on occasion. But I think it does enrich my education because a lot of the professors, before I even came to school here, knew who I was. And so they've seen the articles in CBS Evening News, they've seen whatnot, and they were very thrilled to have me come to their school. And so, it's definitely enriched my education. But I do have to work my cleanups around my school schedule. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good that they're understanding of that, at least. I think one of the reasons why you gained a lot of notoriety with your trash collections was that it came to the attention of Greta Thunberg, right? And I'm not sure if she shared the tweet or commented on it. But in that moment, when suddenly you were being asked to do all these interviews and stuff, how did that feel? Was it very exciting, or did you feel a little bit of panic?
I kind of knew it was coming, because I was at the time my cleanups were getting noticeably longer. Like it happened within like 2 or 3 weeks. All of a sudden, I no longer had a mental list in my head on all the places I need to clean up in the park. There was like, okay, I can do the main trail. Like, yeah, I've done the main trail so many times. Like, I've already checked all these areas. I think I might almost be done at the park. And so I was doing for about a week there. I was kind of like, guys, I'm almost done with this place. Like, it's pretty close. And so I knew that when I finally said, I've cleaned up the park, it would definitely go viral. And so that was great to see. A really important point I want to point out is some of the lessons I've learned on these cleanups. And that the main one is there's nothing we can do about litter bugs. I've been doing this for 810 days now. And the most important lesson is you've just got to enjoy the natural area that you're cleaning up. If you're worried about litter bugs, you're going to spend the entire hike angry, confused, and depressed. And you're not going to want to go out again on the next cleanup. And if I were to carry those thoughts with me every single day, I would have never made it to day 10, let alone day 810. And so it's really important that we just understand that some people are going to litter. It is what it is. And the only solution, the only real solution is to clean up after them. There are trash cans in my park. People litter anyways. There's no littering signs in my park that say it's $1,000 fine. People litter anyways. There are people who will complain on, the Google reviews or the Yelp reviews and whatnot about the trash in the park. People just continue to litter anyways. The only solution is to clean up the area. As I said, this is one of LA's most popular hiking trails, 600,000 visitors per year. LA County could pay a teenager at a local high school $15 an hour, 1 hour a day, just after school, 7 days a week, maybe even 5 days a week, to clean up the park, just like I have with a bucket. And it would cost like next to nothing. I'm talking about, I think, something like $20,000 or $30,000 over a decade, or 6 or 7, 8 years, something like that. I haven't really done the math, but it really would cost nothing. I mean, this is the most popular park in LA County, a very accessible waterfall, no trash service, a lot of people who love this canyon, and it costs nothing. It costs next to nothing. And so when I see trash on the side of the roads here in San Jose, on the freeways, when I see it in the parks, when I see it on, on the beaches, I don't think to myself, oh, it sucks that there's litter here. I think to myself, there's an opportunity for someone to have a job here, and no one is stepping up to make that happen. And so, yeah. Big Tujunga Canyon, north of Los Angeles, the East Fork of the San Gabriel River, and Highway 130 east to San Jose. All three highways have huge piles of trash rotting off the side of the mountain roads. I took a video of it just yesterday on Twitter. It is horrible. It looks like a literal dumping ground that people have been using. And in my park at home, 28 years ago, we had a homeless person start a wildfire in the park. He obviously said it accidentally. He was having a campfire. The fire blew into brush, and it burned 120 homes in my community. And so when I'm out in Eaton Canyon and I'm not just picking up trash, I'm pulling out things like lighters. I'm pulling out things like propane tanks. I've actually pulled out one of those really tall, like 10-foot patio heaters that restaurants have outdoors. I pulled that out of the park. How they even got that in there, I have no idea. But I do know this: cleaning up these parks isn't just about not having trash in them. It can literally prevent a wildfire, which can prevent a firefighter from losing their life, which can prevent homes from burning down, which can prevent the ecosystem from being destroyed even more. And so trash is unsightly. No one likes it. People are going to continue to litter. So it's not like we are ever going to have to fire workers who are cleaning up, and it can save our communities. And so there is just no reason in my mind for the county, state, local, or federal governments to not hire cleanup crews everywhere. Like all the beaches, all the parks, all the rivers, all the freeways, all the hiking trails throughout the entire country. And it's like a win-win-win-win, because there's so many different positives to cleaning up, on top of the fact that you are now giving someone a paycheck and benefits and a way to feed their family and whatnot. So it's just, I just don't understand why we cannot hire people to keep these places clean. And
Yeah, I think that segues well into a question that we have from someone watching on Facebook, and she asked if you're working with any government officials or other nonprofit organizations on the issue of litter. If you've been in touch with anybody, or
okay, I've tried. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but let's just say the officials who work at my home park have never thanked me for cleaning up, even though they're there all the time. I think one time I often check the reviews that people leave of the park to see, if someone reviews the park and says there's a ton of trash out here, I go, oh my God, and I go out there right away and clean up. But I actually one time read a review, I think it was like about 5 or 6 years ago that the review actually went out. The person was complaining about tons of trash in the park and they would never take their kids there. They mentioned in the review that they were a person who worked at the park in the nature center, and they wrote a review that they would never take their kids to the park that they work at. And it's just like, and so I tend not to get into the systematic aspect of things when it comes to cleaning up, because I honestly don't have faith in the way that they go about protecting this area, because it's just their style. I just don't understand it. They have not expressed any interest in chatting with me. I've tried to reach out to them and say, hey, this is the trash situation in the park. You should probably hire people, and I get nothing back. And so, there's a reason why I go out by myself every single day, and I don't try and put together big cleanup groups, or I don't, do all this whatnot, because I have found that daily maintenance is far better than a group going out once a month and cleaning up, because daily maintenance means you can learn about, as I said, you can learn about, which parts of the park are being littered when. You can keep track of what's happening in the park. Is this neighborhood complaining a lot about trash? Is this waterfall getting littered? How frequently? How can I keep this place as clean as possible? Whereas a group cleanup is only going to target the most popular spots, so they're going to find the most amount of trash, and then they're going to be gone for a month. And any litter that appears even hours after their cleanup is going to be sitting there for a long time. And so I've tried to express to LA County and the Angeles National Forest and the city of San Jose and the state of California that we need maintenance out here frequently. You cannot rely on people not to litter. They're just going to litter. And but that's a whole rabbit hole I'm not going to jump into too much.
Okay. Yeah. So as we're kind of coming to the end of the time that we have, I wanted to ask if you have any advice for other young people, not just looking to get into maybe trash collection, but in general, just looking to become more active in the local community. What advice would you offer them?
Try things out. Just try it for a week or two, and if you don't like it, fine. I mean, I tried the climate strikes. In the United States, the weekly Friday climate strikes are not really popular anymore. They're mostly occurring in Europe and Africa now, but they were fun and I enjoyed them, but they didn't really seem kind of my speed. I tried many other things. I went through a process for years of figuring out what worked best for me. And I started becoming a climate activist in 2017. And it wasn't until 2019 that I actually discovered, hey, going out to the parks every day and keeping them clean is so much fun, and I love this. And so I would say just keep trying something new. You're not going to stumble upon the perfect thing right away. It's going to take a little bit of time, but if you want to keep your parks clean, try picking them up every Saturday. Just start there. That's how I started. Assess the situation then. Do you need to go every single day, or maybe go to a different park every single day? And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Edgar, for joining us here on our live stream. For people that might be interested in your project, I think that following you on Twitter is the best way. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So on YouTube, we will link to your Twitter account so that people can go ahead and follow you and follow your journey as you go through your trash collection and any other news that I know that you tweet frequently about what's occurring in California with the wildfires and other such news. And I wish you the best of luck. I know you haven't gone out yet today, so best of luck today, and thank you again.
Well, actually, yesterday I tried to go to the park, and there were homes and part of a hillside on fire as I got there, and so I had to go to a different park. So thankfully, my new park is fine. It didn't get torched, but yeah. So
that's not an obstacle you usually expect.
Yeah, that's that's the fact of living in California. I'm always worried that I'm going to wake up one day and see that my home park has been completely leveled. But yeah.
Yeah. No, let's hope not. And again, good luck today.
Thank
Better
you.
luck than yesterday.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.